Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Driving for Dollars Mastery podcast, or maybe the YouTube channel. I'm not really sure where we're going to use this content yet. I'll kind of leave that up to my team that's much smarter than me. But I just did this call with Leighton. The whole point of this call was to help him identify where he can find off-market discounted properties using the Driving for Dollars strategy. So Leighton's actually one of my students, and he had this question for me. I said, it's such a great question, such a common question that I get. Why don't we create some free content around this while I help you and help you through this process of moving from North Dakota to Minneapolis. I hope you guys enjoy this content and you find some value here wherever you're catching this piece of content. Thank you so much for joining us, and let's dive into it. Hi, my name is Zack Boothe, and I help people just like you become ultra successful in real estate investing and more specifically, real estate wholesaling. So you can follow along on this YouTube channel. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. And also, if you would like to apply for my mastery program, get direct access to me and all the actionable steps to become a successful wholesaler, make sure you go to my website, linked in the description below, and book a call so you can either talk to me or one of my onboarding coaches to see if we are a fit to help you in your journey to become a real estate wholesaler. Enjoy the content. Hey everyone, we probably should have hit record. We're here laughing about the redneck inside of all of us, especially me. And Leighton here's in, you're in North Dakota or in South Dakota?
I'm in North Dakota, yep.
North Dakota. So we were talking about picking up roadkill and eating it. I had a good friend of mine who's actually financing one of my flips right now. He has a business, auto repair store right at the base of the mountain here in Utah. And a deer got ran over, and the fish and game officer came out and shot it. And then the fishing game officer went into their store and said, hey, do you know anybody that wants the meat? Because they do that kind of thing around here, right? We use the meat. There's a lot of people that enjoy venison, and I love it. And so I've actually had a bunch of my employees asking for my venison from what I had hunted. And so that guy called me, and I was like, hey, team building activity, get off the dialer, stop cold calling. We're going to go cut up a deer. So took him out there and showed him how to do that. Kind of funny, but
that's probably like a rite of passage with you guys, I'm assuming. But
yeah, it's funny, dude. People walk into my office here, and you know, my acquisition manager Hayden, he's got a full size body, like a full body mountain lion mount. Have you seen that?
I have not. No.
Here, guys, let's go for a walk. If y'all are in YouTube, you get to watch this. If you're on the podcast, you're out of luck. But this is my acquisition manager's office.
Wow. Okay, that's hilarious.
Yeah, so you got a full body elk, and then some deer, antelope.
I hope you don't bring like prospects in there, because that's pretty intimidating, you know.
Oh, we do. It's so funny. Like, look at this. This is my pile of bear hides, and this is like the front entrance here. This is
oh geez.
These are bear skulls, and that's a Mouflon sheep head that I found in Lanai, Alaska, or no, sorry, Hawaii, when I was hunting axis deer. And then my office.
Okay.
You ever seen Ace Ventura? He like walks in and he's like, "That's a lovely wall of death you have."
I can't go wrong with Jim Carrey for sure.
Oh, gotta love Jim Carrey. No, we're kind of rednecks around here.
Yeah, I can relate. I have two quick stories about that. One, my high school guidance counselor had a bear in his office. So like you go to him for therapy for some friends, and then just be like sitting right next to you when you're telling the story. It was kind of like intimidating for people. I just didn't get that. And then my high school agriculture teacher, I grew up in a high school that was between a farm and a cornfield, so I definitely can relate. But
I'm sure you had all the guys showing up with mullets and camo and
routed pipes, you know, all that fun stuff, cool stuff. The high school ag teacher would hit a deer every year. We'd be like, why is he? And then we realized like he did it on purpose, so we didn't have to. He can just put his tag on it. Like, it was just that type of thing. It's hilarious. So
He would run over a deer every year on purpose.
Yeah,
that is hillbilly there.
Yes, agriculture teacher. Let me tell you.
Oh man. Well, guys, there are rednecks out there that there's some good ones. I love it, man. It's funny. I tell my wife all the time, because my wife's from Sao Paulo, Brazil, 18 million people. And I live here in Utah, a couple of million people, you know, in the metropolitan area. And this is small for her. And if I wasn't married to this wonderful person, I'd probably live in a trailer out in the sticks somewhere. And but the funny thing is too, is like I'm caught between these two worlds of being an outdoorsman and like being a guide and living in the mountains. Like I love sleeping in a tent. Like I'll go in the mountains by myself for like a week at a time and just be as happy as can be. But I also love entrepreneurship. I love real estate. I love this stuff. Kind of funny. Well, sorry, we got on a crazy tangent, but that was a wild morning of taking my team to process deer. And I just walked in. I'm just a hair late for our call. So everyone, this is Leighton Erickson. I got your last name right?
Correct. Yep.
Okay. And he's currently in North Dakota. What part of North Dakota?
Grand Forks, so the east side of the state.
East side. Okay. Is Rapid City in North Dakota? Rapid City.
That is South Dakota.
South Dakota.
Clarify for people that are not familiar. We're not Canada. I get asked that a lot. If we're not. And then the Mount Rushmore is in South Dakota, and the Black Hills are in South Dakota, not North. North Dakota is super flat, super windy. We do get 4 seasons, and we get a pile of snow usually. So.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. So I've been out there once hunting pheasants. You guys have a lot of grain fields and a lot of pheasants. Very famous for that.
Definitely, yeah.
You guys have a lot of whitetail. It's ducks.
Yeah, it's
not a lot of people.
It's hard for us residents to get tags because everybody, just like Alaska, everybody comes here, they take everything, and it's really hard to get a tag for deer, especially.
Interesting. Well, everyone's like, man, these guys are crazy. Talking about getting tags and hunting. And you know, it's funny. One of my students here in Utah, he's my favorite vegan I ever met. Vegans and I don't always get along very great.
Yeah.
And I love this vegan. He's a great guy. His name's Adam. But he actually came and spent some time with me in Florida for the 40-day challenge. And of course, I didn't want to eat beef. I don't feel good when I'm eating a lot of beef and pork. So I flew Alaskan salmon and moose and elk with me in a frozen in a cooler. So I had it during my 40-day challenge. So I actually got him to eat moose burgers with me. So,
okay. And what's the consensus on that?
You know, I thought I had converted him, you know, but I think he's back to his normal ways. He's a good guy though. He's super funny. Have you ever watched what is it called? It's he's got red hair, long hair. He does he's a comedy guy. He always makes fun of everything.
Louis C.K. or
no?
Is he more hillbilly?
No.
Larry the Cable Guy.
He's a very intelligent guy. What's his sticking name? He has one video. Let me just search it because it's super funny. Meat eaters acted like vegans.
Oh my. So
you know what I'm talking about?
There's 2 types of vegans, you know. You got my girlfriend has some roommates that are like vegan on the weekdays, and then weekends it's, you know, whatever. And then they complain about eating meat on the weekends, and then they should be kind of like keto, like my brother says. Same. And then you got the hardcore that, you know, stand for what they believe in and definitely don't. So.
Yeah. No, and I respect it, but it's super funny. So there's this guy named JP Sears. Have you heard of him?
No, actually.
So he's a super funny guy, and he makes fun of everyone and everything. He even makes fun of gurus. Like I am in his crosshairs making fun of him, you know. So he makes fun of gurus like me. I laughed myself silly the whole time I watched that, and then he does one if meat eaters acted like vegans. It's freaking funny. He's like one of his one-liners. He's like, you're eating my food's food and I do not appreciate that, or something like that. He's so freaking funny. And he does one like on essential oils, and he's like, what is more natural than taking 10,000 pounds of flower petals and squeezing it down into an ounce of oil? It happens all the time, you know? Anyways, he's a riot, dude. I think he's brilliant.
He's taking shots at these people a little bit.
Oh, dude, he does one on Peloton. So I love my Peloton, my stationary bike, and he makes fun of Pelotons. He like shows up in this like super like tight short shorts, you know, on his Peloton. Oh my god.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh yeah, he's super funny. You'll have to check him out. He's one of my favorite comedians. Anyways, gosh, we keep getting on tangents. Everyone, the whole point of this, and I don't know how much of that we'll end up using, but the whole point of this call right now is you're going from North Dakota and you're moving to a whole new market, and you joined my mastery program and you wanted to know, how do I start? I'm going to a whole new market. How do I start? Where do I start my marketing? Where do I start driving? So I'm sure everyone that's watching this will want to know. I'm going to go into my market. I don't know anything about real estate. I don't know where deals are. I don't know how to find deals. Where do I start my marketing? So you guys get to follow along with us, and we're going to show you exactly how to do that, how to identify your market and or identify where deals are going to be found in your market, where to go drive, and that kind of stuff, right? So that's what you wanted help with, right, Leighton?
Exactly. Yeah.
Cool. So he asked me for that help, and I said, let's record this. Let's put it out there for free and change lives. So let's do it. So what market are you moving to?
So the Minneapolis market I'm moving to, but obviously it's a couple million people, so there's a ton of different suburbs. If you're not familiar, that market is a bunch of little towns around the center of downtown Minneapolis. So we'll be in St. Louis Park area. But from our coaching calls, you talked about, there's gonna be a lot of competition, and I'm totally fine with being in the central part, but I kind of got the consensus we should look at the outskirts first before we move to the more competitive.
Yeah. So for the listeners here, one of is the main metropolitan areas, the most densely populated areas. Usually that's where the majority of your people are doing your marketing. So we have the majority of your investors. But the outskirting towns that are with their towns, or even suburbs that are within 45 minutes of the main metropolitan areas, people will commute. There's plenty of housing, plenty of real estate opportunities, and there's less marketing being done in those outskirts. And so I have found that when we drive some of these smaller towns, these outskirting towns outside of the metropolitan areas, you pick up what's called low-hanging fruit. You find deals that you call them and they're like, oh man, there's people like you. I wish there was more people like you. I've been wanting to sell my house for years. It's been vacant for 3 years. No joke, right? Or my crackhead stepdaughter. Seriously, like this is one of our deals in Tremonton. You can look this up, Tremonton, or Garland actually was the name of the little town, which is like an hour and a half north of Salt Lake City. It's about 40 minutes north of Ogden, which is a major metropolitan area here. And, I called the guy and he said that he's like, I can't believe you guys, want to buy the house. My daughter, my stepdaughter married this crackhead. Now they're crackheads. They lost their kids, because of it. Like they're cooking meth there. The cops last week kicked in the door. I've been wanting them out forever, but since the cops finally got involved to this point, I need them out, and I don't want to have to deal with evictions, because then I got to deal with my wife and yada, yada. And I've been wanting to sell this thing forever. Right? It's like, holy moly, like that's the best lead I've ever got in my entire life. I didn't make a ton of money because I tried flipping it. I'm a horrible project manager. Anyways, that's another story. I could have assigned it for 25 grand, but instead I flipped it for like 20. Did all the work. That's a whole nother mistake. We don't want to get down that rabbit hole. So I believe in picking some of those outskirting areas. So if you guys have watched my 40 grand and 40-day challenge, I do that strategy. I went to Tampa, Florida, major metropolitan area, and I didn't drive in like center of downtown Tampa. I didn't drive there. I didn't drive St. Pete. I didn't drive those main condensed areas. I drove in a suburb on the very, it would be eastern side of Tampa, in a place called Seffner in Brandon, Florida. And it's a very major suburban area outside of the main city where a lot of people commute over to Tampa for work. And there's tons of lower to median income housing in those areas. And so I was like, that's going to be great. I can add a ton of properties fast. I guarantee I can find some low hanging fruit, which I did, right? I got 7 total contracts. 3 of them I wholesaled, 2 I kept. Wholesaled 3 of those for $93,000 as assignment fees, right? So quick, 90 grand. Awesome, right? So that's what we're going to try and help Leighton with, is a quick win. And then obviously you'll go back, and with all that extra money, you'll blanket your entire market every 6 months and redrive and add all the properties with deferred maintenance. So let's do this. I want to pull this up. Do you have any questions before we dive into this?
No, I'm definitely excited. I think it's going to be a great opportunity here. So
cool. Here we go. I'm going to pull it up on Google Maps.
And I'm pretty familiar with like the suburbs and stuff, so I can give you a little input. Just in general, it'd be good to get your input as well. Okay.
Let me just share my screen here. So, if you're listening to us on the podcast, I assume we'll use it there. But if you're watching this on YouTube, you'll be able to see the screen share. So advanced sharing options. Actually, I'm not going to do that. What am I doing? Okay, here we go. Can you see that, my friend?
Yep, I can see it.
Okay, so here's Minneapolis, and we scroll out, and you must like cold weather.
So yeah, Grand Forks is like one of the coldest cities in the country, I'll be honest. So I'm moving warmer, so it's a step up.
Yeah, warmer. Yeah, I don't know about that, man.
All I could say is it's like on average 10 degrees warmer and less windy because there's actually buildings around versus Grand Forks.
Do you think you'll pick up the Minnesota accent?
I don't know if you can hear it. I feel like I have it a little bit. But when you say boats or bag or anything like that.
Boats or bags?
Yeah.
Minnesota?
Yeah.
That's funny, man. All right. Well, I'm sure I'll come hang out with you because I definitely want to go ice fish.
Yes.
Glamorous ice fishing out there on the Great Lakes. I've always wanted to do that. That looks freaking hilarious. Like, you guys ever watch Grumpy Old Men? You know what I'm talking about, right? They've got their like houses that they drag out on the ice.
Mm-hmm.
Have you done that?
Oh yeah, that's all fishing and hunting is North Dakota, Minnesota. So and you heard my soda there.
Yeah, Minnesota.
Straight up to Duluth. That's where people love to go. Right up that.
Duluth, yeah, this corner right here.
That's where everybody goes, or they go to what's called that area reservation up there. It's Lake of the Woods. It's like the water's like you don't even get cell reception up there. So.
Yeah, one of the guys I follow on YouTube, he's always out on Lake of the Woods fishing.
Yeah, it's one of the best places in the area.
That's awesome. Love it. Okay, so let's not get on a tangent again. I'm horrible at that. So what suburb, my friend, are you looking at? Where are you going to live?
I'm living in St. Louis Park. So it's pretty much central. So if you zoom in a little bit more.
Okay.
You should see, you might have to go.
See it yet? Here's the airport.
So you see it. So you got the pins, the green pins, look straight left.
St. Louis Park. Okay, everybody, if you can see my mouse, St. Louis Park, which is just a tiny bit west of the main metropolitan area here. So what direction are you thinking? Are you thinking up towards Plymouth, Maple Grove, Minnetonka?
Minnetonka is like Justin Bieber has a house there, so it's like really expensive. So I don't really think I'll go there. Plymouth is great. Maple Grove,
and plus Justin Bieber lives there, so you don't want to.
Yeah.
Have you seen that? Have you seen that where everyone roasts Justin Bieber
on Comedy Central?
Yeah, Shaq's there making fun of him, and Martha Stewart.
One of the best I think I've ever seen. One of the best roasts.
Yeah, I don't know. The roast on The Office was actually funnier. That was pretty funny.
Yes, I know exactly. Yeah. And is it Stanley? You have a bad heart. Boom, roasted.
Yes, exactly. They roast him and make fun of him, and the boss starts crying. Oh, it's so freaking funny. Too funny.
Top 10 there.
Yep. Super funny show. Okay. So you're not thinking Minnetonka. What areas were you thinking?
So yeah, I'm thinking Plymouth, Maple Grove. Those are a little bit more higher end, but any around that area, there's a lot of single families, a lot of families that live there. New Hope would be fine. Anywhere in that area. If you go more north, it's a lower income, kind of the the hood, I would say, like straight north of Minneapolis. So that'd be like Brooklyn Park and to the right. So
Okay. So there's Brooklyn Park and then
Brooklyn
that
Park, that area, that's where, yeah, that's kind of where, you hear stories about that area. So, and then,
Okay.
yeah.
Just for the listener, one thing that I look at is there's different markets. Okay. There's certain markets like Utah where there's not really anywhere that an investor is not excited to buy. There's not a single neighborhood that, maybe 1 in 100 houses might be vacant, maybe, but like that's like the worst of the worst areas, right? Major shortage in housing. Our economy is booming in Utah. Houses are just over like crazy inflated in values over the last couple of years. There's no like, you could say war zones or really economically depressed markets. Okay. But certain markets, depending on where you are, there may be those. So if you're driving through a neighborhood, for example, and you see that 50% or 30% of the houses on that street are boarded up, just don't even go there. Don't, because there's so much availability that there's no way anyone's going to pay you assignment fee. There's no way an investor is going to want to buy that deal because they're a dime a dozen. Most of those people to pick up a house there, they'd want to be paid to buy it. Right. And no joke, there are situations where the city will pay flippers, right? And they will pay and make all sorts of tax incentives and even pay and subsidize remodels and all sorts of stuff for investors to go up and clean up those areas. And so unless that's the strategy, there's not really a lot of opportunity in those areas. So you got to kind of know your area enough, and you can do that just by driving around, right? So if you're, the other thing too, as one thing I've learned by doing this and teaching other people this all across the country is you're going to find deals in two types of markets: on your lower end areas, right? Your cheapest housing. So let's say your median house price is like $300,000. Your lower end housing is probably about $100,000 for a house, right? For a 2 or 3 bedroom house. Your middle class, blue collar type neighborhoods that are still decent, you're going to be about 200, 250, right? But anything over that median house price. So if you Google your city and median house price, you're going to find that, you don't want to drive in those areas. So we're going to look up median house price, Minneapolis. So you're going to find that, and a lot of times Zillow will have that for you. It looks like median house price is around 337. So 328. It's a little over 300,000. So I'm going to want to try and find neighborhoods where, like I said, are below that $300,000 range. And I want to find places that are a little bit more compact. So what I'll do is I'll go to Google Maps, and since you already know, you kind of know your area, Brooklyn Park's a little rougher. We're going to look at Brooklyn Park, and then we're going to look over towards Maple Grove. One thing that I'm already seeing is these neighborhoods. Notice how like there's a nice lake and then there's neighborhoods around it. And I've never been here, guys. I know nothing about this place. Where if you come over closer to the metropolitan areas a little bit, you get neighborhoods like this, right? Just checkerboard, jam-packed with housing. And then I can know that big time by going to the satellite version and scrolling down and looking. I really like this neighborhood already, because if you look, you have some nicer houses, right? Like this is a much bigger house, detailed roof line, solar panels, it looks like, little detailed roof line. But look at this, it's got a little 2-car, 1-car garage detached, very single, like a single, no crazy roof line. So when I was going to Florida, this is what I did. I'm like looking around, like, where do I start? What do I look for? And I was looking for neighborhoods just like this, right? So it doesn't look like there's a ton of mansions, a lot of very simple roof lines, a lot of what looks like 1,500 square foot per level houses, right? Very simple, maybe 1,000 square feet. So this is a neighborhood I would look at. So I'll look at the main street, which is 53rd 53rd and Maryland. So that's what I'll look for. 53rd and Maryland is one of them, which is a little closer to the center. But then if you go further out here towards Maple Grove, like you said, and you scroll down in, look at the housing difference. Look at the roof lines. You see that? I promise you that's going to be your median house price or higher. I mean, you got a pool. Who has a pool there? Someone that wants to swim for like a month of the year, right? Oh, look, there's another idiot. So you have, forgive me if you have a pool in Minneapolis. I'm joking. I want a pool really bad. I'm just jealous. So you have these neighborhoods. I stay away from them, right? These are way too high end, way too nice, right? This is not an investor special. So I would stay away from that neighborhood, but the Maryland and 53rd is interesting. Let's look around this lake, you know. And then this looks a little better.
Just want to correct you on one thing for your podcast. It's Minneapolis.
What am I saying?
Minneapolis. It's Minneapolis.
Minneapolis.
Yep.
We'll just mark it up as like my country twang, bro. Everyone.
Perfect. Just wanted to make sure.
Oh, bless his heart. That's what they'll say. I'm not worried about it. Thanks, brother, though.
Okay. Yeah, you bet.
And then let's see here.
So Maple Grove is also a little higher end too. I just,
Yeah. So I would look at that. So I would look at what is this little area here, like Crystal Robbinsdale or whatever, New Hope. So I would look in here, and then I would look at Brooklyn Park as well, and further north, and maybe that's a little bit too rough. But south, I'm looking here. This, like, look how checkered out. Like, this would be gold here. Very simple roof lines, right? That'd be a fantastic neighborhood to drive. So that's a first step, right? Identifying some pockets to have simple looking houses in comparison to the higher end housing. So you can just see it just from Google Maps image, and you can go to the street view if you would like, but that's sufficient for me and what I look at that point. Okay. Then I go to Zillow, right? And so I'm going to look up for sale. Minneapolis. Did I say it right that time?
Yes.
Minneapolis. Okay, here we go. So now I go into Zillow, and I'm going to remove boundary so I can see everything that pops up. And I don't want for rents. I want solds. Okay, or even for sales. So I'm going to do solds just to keep it simple. Okay. So now if I scroll down, let's go up to Brooklyn Park, a little rougher area. And you can see that the houses are still pretty high, right? So it looks like they're selling for, just under that median house price. Click on it. It looks like it's in pretty good shape. It's a little bit dated, but not bad, right? Mm-hmm. So for a house like this, you're going to probably try and get it for 200 or less. Let's see. So, I would still drive Brooklyn Park. I would still 100% drive because here we go. See, look, so some of them sold at the low 200s, like I thought they would, right? So that's actually a fantastic neighborhood, by the way, to drive because your median house price, right? It's right below it. That it's a lower end area. That's definitely an area I would look at. And some of these surrounding areas up and around, looks like as you get further outside of that area, you have pockets, right? Certain neighborhoods that are well above that median house price, right? As high as 600,000. So I just wouldn't even drive this section. And you can go in and deal machine and mark these neighborhoods that you want to go drive, right? You can quickly identify these, put it in deal machine and go for it, right? So then further north, Brooklyn Park, there's a nice neighborhood. And then look, it goes to lower end again. See that? Where it's right at the median house price on solds. So I would try and find median house prices and lower in your area. If we go out west to Maple Grove and scroll in, you definitely have some neighborhoods that may make sense. They're right at that median house price or a little lower. But you definitely have certain neighborhoods, right, that are the $400,000 range. Definitely way too high for it to make sense. Look at this one. This one is super low. 135 grand. Looks like there's some multifamily. There's a 6-unit. That looks like it's a multifamily section. Okay. But if you wanted to really like start looking at outskirt areas, sorry, did you hear that? My throat was just like, whoa. So if you go further out west, like what I mean by like getting on the outskirts, so that's like the main areas here that I would drive, or outskirt suburban areas outside of Minneapolis. I'm all like self-conscious now. And then if we go down to, what is this? Monticello. So like this little town right here would have a lot of opportunity. And as you look, yes, you have some crazy houses. There's a 1.1 million, but you have 180s, right? You have neighborhoods where it's well below the median house price of the main metropolitan areas. So like little towns like this, bro, that's where you jump in and you pull out 2-3 deals and you make $100,000. So you don't have to do all of your driving there, but you cruise out there for a day, add 300-400 properties, and hopefully one of those will pop, right? I mean, it's really exciting when you only spend a couple $100 and you make thousands, tens of thousands, right? Mm-hmm. And sometimes that's what people need to get started. But yeah, man, that's how I would identify it, right? I'd go drive Monticello. I'd drive some of those outskirts areas. The most important thing to being successful with doing driving for dollars is to stay consistent, right? You got to stay consistent. Obviously, there's other things that you have access to that we don't have time to get into on this call that you'll have full access to with the program and access to me. But for the listeners listening in, like that is the main start. Like this is how you identify an area. One of the things that I teach my students. It's also in the course. So if you want to go back and watch the course, Leighton, you can. Do you have any questions though, before we end this?
No, I just to reiterate, like I hear all the time, stay consistent as a newer wholesaler. And it's like, okay, people say it, but they don't realize, like I'm committed in like your course, you're just going to have to do word for word what your course says, because I know it's going to make me. So that's what I'm just like, it took me like literally a year to realize word for word consistency is a big deal.
Oh, it is a big deal. And a lot of people are like, okay, well, I'll stay consistent. What does that mean? What kind of work is like, what should I be doing? Do I need to be watching YouTube videos? No, right? Like that's not consistent work, guys. What consistent work looks like is consistent marketing. We're in the business of marketing, and our product is real estate, right? So you got to have consistent marketing going out. So for my students, I tell them what to look for, how to look for it, what the marketing piece should look like, and you got to stay consistent to your marketing. That's why I say you're not allowed to be a student unless you'll spend 15 hours a week and you'll spend $500 a month on marketing or more. Or you have to do that or you won't be a student, because I don't want to coach you unless I can change your life, right? And so that is where I need you to stay consistent, is your marketing. Then what's going to happen, I can guarantee you, anyone listening, if you follow my steps, you will produce leads. You will produce deals. You will produce 6-figure deals over the course of 5 years doing this. You will do a 6-figure deal, right? Like it's just impossible not to, because you're doing this the correct way. That's a bold claim. Maybe you won't do one that much, right? But I promise you'll do a $10,000 deal, right? Like that's a small deal, honestly, in comparison to the averages. Okay. So, you got to stay consistent to that marketing, right? Adding the addresses, in the course, you'll have access to, I want you to add X amount of properties every single week, add those properties, do your marketing, right? I teach you how to do the postcards, the cold calling. Course update coming here in a few weeks with the texting and how to do that, right? So what's most important is that marketing is going out, and then you'll start to produce leads like I promised. With those leads, you're going to make mistakes and learn how to negotiate and grow, and learn how to evaluate properties, learn how to present an offer, learn how to deal with a deal once you do get it under contract, and working with the title company. And the rest of my course for you is for that purpose, right? And access to me is for that purpose, right? To walk that deal through the finish line. But the consistency is the marketing. That's what we mean by you have to stay consistent.
For sure. Totally get that. Yeah.
Cool. All right, brother. Is there anything else?
No, just excited to get started, and I wish I was moving tomorrow, but couple weeks.
Yeah. Well, how's your cash buyers list out there coming?
Oh, it's coming now that this was the first step. Once I know, now I'm going to be hunting them in this area specifically, in these areas specifically.
Yep. Anyone in or around that metropolitan area will be great cash buyers. Go to your Facebook groups. I mean, you have all those steps. So you got plenty to do until you start your marketing anyway. So get to work on it. And not sure exactly where we're going to share this piece of great content here. Wherever you're catching this, thank you so much for joining us. I hope you found value. If you did, please share it with a friend that you think might appreciate it. Subscribe, like it, rate and review it, whatever you can do to show support for the time that we've spent to give you this free content and valuable information. I would really appreciate it. It boosts the algorithms and helps me fulfill my mission of blessing more people. Again, thanks so much for being here with me, everyone. And we'll see you again.
All right. See you guys.